Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment, people. Just a little bit on Julia Wandelt. And this article goes on to say alleged McCann stalker tells court I'm exhausted. Under cross examination on Thursday, Julia Wandelt tearfully asked, "Why am I here?" The alleged stalker of Madeleine McCann's parents broke down in tears and told the court she did not do anything wrong while under cross-examination. Julia Wandel, 24, is on trial at Leicester Crown Court alongside Karen Sprague, 61, accused of stalking Kate and Jeremy McCann, causing serious alarm and distress. The jury has heard she had repeatedly claimed she is the missing child on Thursday while in the witness box. She was visibly and audibly emotional as she said, "Actually, I don't care anymore. I'm just exhausted with it." Miss Wandelt, a Polish national, has also denied altering images sent to Madeleine's sister, Amelie, to try to make her look more like the missing child. The pair are accused of peddling the myth. Miss Wandelt is Madeleine is while stalking Mr. and Mrs. McCann by sending emails, making phone calls, leaving voicemails, and turning up at the address. Prosecutor Michael Duck Casey had asked Miss Wandelt of Jana in Lubin, Poland, about the fact she had no replies from the immediate McCann family to any messages or calls she'd made to them. Mr. Duck Casey, did you then appreciate they did not want contact? Miss Fontel said no, before beginning to cry and adding, "I just couldn't believe the parents of a missing child wouldn't want to follow the lead." "Why am I standing here? Question mark. I did not do anything wrong." Madeleine McCann's disappearance on the 3rd of May 2007, the age of 3, Portugal, is one of the most widely reported missing child cases and remains unsolved. Later, this was last Thursday, people, where another outburst from Miss Wandelt in a witness box as she turned away from the prosecutor and began to cry. It came after Mr. De Casey asked, "There is absolutely no scientific evidence to connect you with the McCann family, is there?" Question mark. In a raised voice, Miss Wandelt said, "I don't care anymore if people say I'm not. I'm okay with it. I'm absolutely exhausted with it, and I just want to know who I am." Mr. Duck Casey then said, "The evidence has exposed what you were doing." In response, the defendant said, "I do believe I am her. I remember them, but I'm just exhausted. I am willing to say I agree with this because I am exhausted." So she's still admitting that she still believes that she's Madeleine McCann. So technically, this court case at the moment hasn't got anywhere. Mr. Duck Casey later referred to one-sided communication from Miss Wandelt towards Kate McCann on the 13th of April 2024, during which there were text calls and voicemails over a 75-minute period. One message to Mrs. McCann read, "I beg you to stop blocking my number. You are my real mother." The prosecutor asked on the 13th of April, "Do you accept your approaches to the McCanns were unwanted?" Miss Wandelt said no. Mr. Duck Casey has also asked Miss Wandelt about Mrs. Sprague of Cardiff on the evening they visited the McCann's home in Rothley, Leicestershire on December 7th, 2024, last year. He said, "Was Sprague becoming a little bit more aggressive?" Miss Wandelt said, "Well, I would say that her emotions became too big. Verbally, yes, she seemed a bit aggressive. It was because of the emotions and she wanted to help me." Asked if she was concerned about the way Mrs. Sprague was behaving, Miss Wandelt said, "I didn't think that it was right thing to do." Mr. Duck Casey asked why Miss Wandelt continued to knock on the McCann's door when they went inside their home on the same day. Miss Wandelt said she wanted Mrs. McCann to have her DNA report. The prosecutor said, "The one thing that's blindly obvious is that your profile and Madeleine McCann's did not match." In response, Miss Wandelt questioned it, the profile, what Madeleine's, as it was from 3 people. Mr. Duck Casey asked, "Do you accept that by simply looking at the profile, or it is nothing to do with you?" Question mark. Miss Wandelt replies, "Assuming this does belong to Madeleine, yes." It's crazy. Mr. Duck Casey has asked about images the defendant sent it to Amelia McCann, obviously one of the McCann's other daughters, claiming she had a resemblance to Madeleine in photos of herself. Part of the prosecution case is the Miss Wandelt altered images to try and make her look more like Madeleine. Very odd indeed. The court heard the defendant sent a message to Miss McCann, which read, "I only made photos sharper because the quality was so bad." Miss Wandelt said she used an app and said it was nothing to do with the altering the picture. The prosecutor turned to an image of Miss Wandelt, another of Miss McCann, and another Mrs. McCann. Honest comparison, Mr. Duck Casey said, "Do you accept that when we look at the evidence in this case, photos that ended up on your telephone have been altered from the originals?" Miss Wandelt said, "A lot of people send me information. Yes, it was on my phone, but I had nothing to do with the altering of these pictures," she said. She added, "I didn't even know that my own photo was altered." The prosecutor moved on to images from posts that the defendant published on Instagram. Mr. Duck Casey asked, "Do we agree that two images which had been altered of you and Amelia and then set aside by side comparison purposes were published by you to your supporters on Instagram? At the time, I had a belief that this was an honest comparison made by someone of my supporters," Miss Wandelt said. She denied she altered the images to support the suggestion she looked like Madeleine. The jury has now been dismissed until Monday. Before this, jurors were told Miss Spragg will not be called to stand to give evidence. The trial continues, and this keeps going on and on and on. I mean, this lady, it just seems like to me she's a little bit lost in who she is, and I think that technically Julia needs to talk more with her parents at the end of the day. I mean, if you said to me, is there some kind of comparison, I would probably say with Jerry, but I just don't think she's Maddie, and I think a lot of people have put this into her mind, and like I said, maybe she is a bit mentally ill over it and to do with her past, but that's to do with the parents that she has, and she lives, who brought her up, should basically tell her the truth at the end of the day, especially she thinks that they're not her parents, which is quite bizarre. Let's move on. Going to move on to After Dark and Coffee and Crime to see what they're saying.
Bringing you your update on the case of Julia Wandelt. Now she's in court again today. It's her trial. Today, her team had asked her if she now understood and believed that she was not Madeleine McCann based on the DNA results from the samples that were taken, and then compared samples from Madeleine and the McCanns. Now, she didn't answer the question, and so her legal representative had to ask her 3 times whether or not she believed this to be true. And in the end, she didn't answer yes or no. She basically turned around and said, "I need to see the paperwork to know whether or not I believe the result." So that says to me that Julia Wandelt does not believe that. I don't think she still wants to believe that, which is a massive concern for most of the people that probably don't want to see Julia made an example of and to spend more time than is necessary in prison. But also going forward, her ongoing mental health and how she behaves when she does get out of prison, and the sanity and safety of the McCann family, or whether or not she then goes on to harass and stalk another family. Let me know your thoughts on this. Do you expect that Julia will not believe the results? Do you think she will believe the results? Do you think seeing the documents will make a difference? I don't. Let me know. And I will catch you later and update you this evening on the full day events in court. Bye.
That was After Coffee and Crime, After Dark Coffee and Crime, excuse me. Do go and subscribe to her. Just looking at some people in the chat, Solicitor said her parent should be made to do a DNA test because they have refused. That is really strange. Very, very strange. Yes, I agree to her Polish parents doing the DNA. Yeah, they should, because obviously Julia seems a little bit lost into what she's thinking, which is absolutely very, very weird indeed. Very, very weird indeed. Very, very strange. Karen Spragg won't be given evidence. It's a big worry. Julia needs help. Apparently, Madeline was 5 kids missing. She tried to say she was and stuck with it. If I were Julia's parents, I would bloody be ashamed of myself that my own daughter would be claiming too many mistakes children. Julia needs to face her consequences. Yeah, I think someone's put it up to a lot of people have put stuff in her mind which she believes. She's been on a lot of shows, and some of these shows said keep going for it and have not helped at the end of the day. I do think there's mental health problems, but I just think that it's probably hit home, her going to court, that, you know, she isn't Madeline, but it's just going to make her a lot worse than what it was, because she obviously doesn't know who she really is at this present moment, and that her real parents are not helping. Let me know what you think, people. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment and Streamline Investigations. Thank you.